We're moving towards the end of this tutorial, but before we finish, there are two more techniques I'd like to bring to your attention: a product FAQ and fan mail. As I suggested before, I don't see these two techniques as alternatives to Moore's template in the press release. Rather, I see these as complements. Both the fan mail and the FAQ give you an opportunity to flesh out and say more about your product and your product goal. And for that reason, I encourage you to involve your entire team in these techniques. I think these can be shared. Let's start with the FAQ. The first thing I want to point out is that while I'm calling this a frequently asked questions document, it is more like an any questions or questions you hope will be asked. This is, at least at the start, you're going to see this with questions you think of, things that you think are relevant. Over time, you might want to find which are really asked frequency, and you might want to differentiate them, but at least seed it with your questions. Take the agenda. You may want to actually create two FAQs, an internal document where you address questions asked by your team, by your peers, and other stakeholders from your organization. With an internal document, you can be more open, honest, even blunt. Indeed, you probably want to include some points about what your product will not do that you don't really want to be very public about. And naturally, if we're going to have an internal FAQ, we're also going to have an external or a public FAQ. Come on to that in a moment. So on the internal FAQ, you might want to include a question like, will the product be available in yellow? To which you're going to answer, no, the product will only be available in corporate colors. Or you might want to discuss commercially important information like retail price or profit margins, things that people in the company want to know, but maybe you'd rather weren't public knowledge. The internal FAQ is a good place to set internal expectations and to preempt requests. You might deliberately include questions to seed further discussion, or you might attempt to close discussion down by stating it in the FAQ. If you've been doing the exercises so far, hopefully you've already got some ideas of the kind of questions you might want to put into an FAQ. Next up, we have the external FAQ. This is similar, but this is going to require you to role play a game because we're going to think about the questions a customer asks. You're going to be thinking as a customer on this one. This is theoretically a public document that would accompany your press release when it goes out. Whether it does is another question when you get to the end of your product and you're actually doing the press release. It fulfills a similar role to the internal FAQ, but it's going to be written in a more customer-friendly tone. It's also an opportunity for you to answer some of the obvious questions which might be overlooked otherwise. As a little exercise, a short exercise, I'm going to suggest you stop the video now. You look back on the notes you have from our earlier discussions, Moore's template and the press release. You've probably got some ideas already for things that could go in the FAQ. If you don't have such notes, then look at the earlier statements, talk them through with other people. One of the nice things about this FAQ is you can get lots of input from colleagues. Then, as we work through the rest of this video, if an idea comes to mind or you get inspiration, quickly note it down and maybe your FAQ will develop over time. Finally, I want to turn our attention to fan mail. Fan mail is a little like a press release because it's going to sing the praises of your product, only this time it's going to be written by an imaginary customer. So you're going to need to role play again. Dear Laundry App team, I simply must write and tell you how your service has changed my life. As a busy exec, I never have enough time, but that is no excuse for clients. I need to be well dressed at all times. Before your app entered my life, I tried other services, but everything was flawed. The laundry shop was only open when I was in the office. The collection service called when I was out. Our apartment cleaning service didn't starch the shirts properly. And my life partner was busy with our children. Hopefully you can see some of the same ideas as we've got in the press release there. A little bit phrased a little bit differently. And for that reason, I'm not going to give you a template with this one. Partly because real people don't use templates. Real people don't follow a structure. When they are passionate, they just sit down and they write something. Besides that, if I did give you a template, we'd only be including the same points that we've already been over with Moore's template and the press release. So we're trying to get something a little bit different here. Having said that, let me give you some opening lines. How about, your product was the best ever because, or my children are in love with your product. It is not often I write in appreciation, but on this occasion, I am in awe. I wonder how I lived before I discovered. You see, we're getting emotional from the off here. I would also suggest this is an activity you can do with your whole team. Get your team in pairs and ask the pairs to write something. Having team members write their own fan mail is an opportunity for them to project their own voice into the product. And in doing so, they become more associated with the product. It's not only an occasion to find different aspects, different people emphasized, or different views, alternatives. They're all things to talk about. But having your team project themselves and associate more with the product. And also, it's an opportunity to have some fun. In the next and last chapter of this tutorial, I'm going to return to the question of process and how you might combine these techniques and in what order you might use them. First though, one more exercise for you. Go and write your own piece of fan mail for your product. It's really quite simple. Go and have some fun. So pause the video, imagine you're a customer, imagine you're writing to praise your product. What do you say?